The first one I want to talk about is the horseshoe. People always wonder, when they hang a horseshoe, what's that all about? Why is there luck in a horseshoe? Why do you hang it over your door a certain way or whatever? Which way is the right way? Well, here's the story as was told to me a long time ago. The horseshoe should always be up on anyone's shop but the forge. Now on the forge, it should be hanging this way above the actual fire. The reason is that luck comes from the horseshoe. The horseshoe should come from the finest horse, the fastest horse that was around. Basically the best horseshoe you could find is the one you would hang above your forge. And you hang it this way so that the luck that was in that horse and the skill that was in that horse and all of the other good properties that was in that horse were imparted to that shoe. And the shoe hanging over the forge pours all that luck and that life into the fire, and then all the horseshoes made in that fire subsequently would contain a little bit of that luck. Now, that luck goes out of the forge, out into the world, those shoes get lost, there's always a little bit of luck in them. Now, what you do as the average person, if you're not a blacksmith, you hang the shoe that way because it's a finite amount of luck. You don't want to lose it, and that's why you hang it this way, in your house, in your shop, wherever. Long ago, there was a blacksmith, one of the very first blacksmiths, if not the first, working in his forge. He had this fire going and he's working it. It's literally like the gates of hell. And this is what these, if you can imagine 1,000, 2,000 years ago, people thought this was, the closest thing you could ever get to hell, because nobody could ever make a fire as hot as a blacksmith. The blacksmith could get a fire so hot he could literally melt metals, and that brought a lot of magic to it, and there is a lot of magic to it. But what happened was, this first blacksmith was working away at the forge. He had customers showing up and clients and folks in the village to get things done. They were shoeing hooved animals, all sorts, oxen and horses and donkeys and what have you. And the shoe was definitely an improvement on what the animals had. So anyway, this became a thing with blacksmiths, and it still is to this day, that we put shoes on hooved animals. This fellow was working at his forge one day, and in came a customer. He looked perfectly normal. He wanted some shoes put on. Blacksmith obliged. He said sure. But there was no animal with this fellow. He pointed down to his feet, but they weren't feet, they were hooves. So at first the blacksmith was a little bit thrown back by this thing. He's seen a lot of weird things in his life, so he didn't think too much about it. He just thought, this is very odd, but this fellow needs shoes, so he started to work on them. It wasn't very long before he came to the realization that, I think this is the devil, because he's a human, but he's got hooves. So he put two and two together and realized that this is the devil I'm working on, and it scared him at first, and he was going to send him away and just try to get rid of him, and he didn't want to deal with him. for obvious reasons. So, but the devil insisted, just please put some shoes on me. Well, the blacksmith, being a fairly wise older fellow and seeing this as something as an opportunity, he decided to go ahead and do the job. So he started to forge the shoes to shape, and what he did was, the first shoe he made it just a little bit too small, and he bent it a little bit so it wouldn't sit quite flat. And the other shoe he made it just a little bit too big, and he bowed it in the middle so that it would rock as the devil would walk in the future. The other shoe would cause him to lean to one side and put a great deal of stress on one leg. As he nailed them in, well, no, before he nailed him in, he cleaned the hooves out, as you do, trimmed them. Trimmed one a little too short, hit some nerves. The whole time he's doing all this, he's working at the forge and working on these shoes, he's tapping the anvil. So he's ding, 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 you know, working on the anvil, ding, 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 and he's keeps making that ringing sound on the anvil. The devil doesn't even register it, but it's working on his subconscious level. So he's installing these shoes, and every time he does something painful, he rings that anvil. He digs real deep inside the hoof to clean out the inside of the hoof and just nails a nerve, and the devil screams in pain, but he's got to get it done. It has, you know, he has to get his hooves done. There's just no way around it. He puts the nails in all crooked, drives them in too far, and some of them he puts in shallow so that later on the hooves will split and cause even more pain. An eternity of pain for the devil. He bends the nails over and clinches them so that they can't come off. These shoes are on there forever. And before he even finishes putting the last nail in, the devil runs away, never to return to the blacksmith shop. And as he's running, the blacksmith is ringing that anvil. Ding, 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 ding. Devil never looks back. So the reason we ring the anvil, according to this legend, is to keep the devil out of this shop, to remind him that this is a place you do not want to be. In fact, when you ring the anvil, it makes the devil turn and look, but it reminds him that that's not where you want to be. Now, there is another small bit of this thing, that you should never ring the anvil for a trivial reason. You get people that come to your shop and they pick up a hammer and they'll tap on the anvil. And there's an old thing from way back that literally it is a straight ticket to hell if you ring that anvil for no good reason. And apparently that's because it brings the devil's attention to you. It'll bring the devil right to the door, from what I understand. But he won't step foot across that threshold. And this is where the luck of the blacksmith shop comes in, because it wards off the evil of the devil. So, anyway, that's it. That's all I've got.